So, Roger, I think you've got that part. I think the part where most agents very rarely practice, it's between the CMA and at some point in the CMA. So the first one that I'm going to ask you is,
Yep.
hey, Roji, like I get we can go over the market analysis. What do you think my property is worth? Now, the reason I'm saying that is you already have all the other stuff. This is when you're actually going to start getting punched. And then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions just to see how you answer them. And then what I like to see you do over the next couple of weeks when you jump on this is basically to start being like, okay, throw this, and this question at me and start practicing these things, because that's going to complete it for you basically.
Got it.
Because you had this part down already, you know? But even for me, what I realized a lot of the times when I was role playing, I would role play things that I had down already and just kept practicing those things over and over. The parts that are really going to earn you the listing are these questions. So, okay, Roji, I get that we're going to go over the CMA. What do you think my house is worth?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking, Jose. And, I would like to just throw out a number for you. But I know the next question I do that you're going to ask me is, how did you get to that number? So what I like to do is go look at this information, and I promise you, it's going to be very apparent where that market price range is going to look like. Does that make sense?
Okay, so now let's practice at the end of the presentation. So we get to the end of the presentation. You ask me what I think that we should list the property for. And I say, well, I want to hear what you have to say first.
Jose, after looking at all this information, including what's active on the market, we've seen what's actually sold in the area similar to yours. I mean, realistically, where do you think you want to position your property price-wise to sell based on this information?
That's a good question. So here's what I like to do, Roji. If it's okay with you, I want to hear what you have to say first before I say something.
Yeah, so let's look at the information back. And this time around, instead of looking at this through the lens of the seller, let's look at this through the lens of the buyer. So I'm going to ask you again, after looking at all this information, and let's just say you're a buyer, not a seller, and you've seen your neighbors sold for $820, your other neighbors sold for $815, and we see that someone's on the market right now at $875. Again, through the eyes of the buyer, if you were the buyer, where would you feel comfortable writing an offer on your own home where it's somewhat reflective of fair market value?
I don't know. What do you think?
We know that 875 is sitting on the market at 60 days, and we definitely don't want to go that route, correct?
Well, I definitely don't want it sitting at the same time. I do want top dollar for the property.
Yeah, 100%. And that's my goal here as well, is to get you the most amount of money. And I don't know now.
Okay. But do you see, okay, you have the going over the comps part set up already. There's no doubt in my mind that you have that part set up, but this is the little things that are gonna, so there's a couple of questions around price. That's gonna be one of them. So you're gonna have to practice. Well, or let me ask you this. Is that realistic where you'll get to the end of it and they'll be like, well, we want to hear what you have to say about the price?
1000%.
Right? So like, if that's realistic, let's practice that. So here's the questions I want you to write down. I want you to write down stopping you at the middle of the presentation. What do you think that my house is worth? I want you, when you get to the end, them saying, well, we don't know. We want to hear what you have to say first. And I want you to practice if they say, we want to hear what you have to say first, and then you go over that buyer example, I want you to practice them resisting again what you would say. And then here's another thing that I want you to practice. Well, Roji, like, I know you mentioned the two strategies. Which one do you think would work better? Which one do you think is more effective? Or if you were me, which one would you use? And then I want to list it higher than that, basically. Like I want to list it at 900,000, basically.
So although we go over the range, you're still saying...
I'm still saying I want to list it higher, even after we go over the range. I want to list it higher.
Okay.
And then I want you to practice right after you go over, like once you guys arrive at the price, them saying immediately after that, almost like, hey, I need to think things through, like I'm not ready to make a decision, blah, blah, blah. because a lot of times when they say that right after the pricing conversation, it's basically them telling you like, hey, look, I'm not really happy with that price, basically. But being able to recognize that in that moment and being able to bring it up is important. That's what I think you should be practicing instead of the CMA.
How would you, I guess I kind of know, not, I don't know it, but I kind of have a feeling of what you would say on the first part, like, give me a price. And then after looking at it, give me a price. What's your objection? All right, the range is 800 to 850. Jose, I understand it, but I want to list at 900,000.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Obviously, you're the boss and you get to make the decisions. So this is the way I would handle it in this situation. So I would say something along the lines like, you know what, Roji, you're the boss. Obviously, you get to make the final decision, and obviously, you get to decide what you want to list it at. Can I share with you what would concern me for you and your family if you ended up choosing that approach?
Sure.
Okay. Well, your neighbor, the one on over on 123 Banana Street, has done us a huge favor. Do you know what that is? He's actually tested the market for us, and it hasn't worked for him. So I don't know if we look back at the property on 123 Banana Street. If you look back, your neighbor actually had it tested, had his property on the market at 925. And if you look at this history, he actually reduced it to 900, and then he reduced it to 875. And then he actually went into escrow when we reduced it to, or when they reduced it to 850,000. So you have a choice, and obviously the choice is absolutely yours. We can position your property at a price that your neighbor has tested at the 925, 900, 875, and 850, and it didn't work for him. Or B, what we can actually do is learn from his strategy and be like, well, look, he already tested out the property at 900, 925. It didn't work for him. What can I learn from this? When he went down to 850, that's when his property actually sold. So based on what is important to you, what do you think we should do?
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but my house is better than that one that sold it, or whatever, the neighbor on Banana Street, though, right?
Tell me more about that.
Mine has a full-blown kitchen that's remodeled. I know size is similar. We're in the same area, but I think condition-wise, mine's is, I spent like $50,000 on this remodel.
Let me ask you this. They have a pool. You have the upgraded kitchen. They have the upgraded bathroom. You have the upgraded flooring. They have the upgraded flooring throughout property. You have obviously the master bathroom. Would you say that, or let me ask you this, would you ever describe your property as similar to theirs, meaning they have some things that you don't have and you have some things that they have?
Yeah.
And let me ask you this. Obviously, you saw what they listed the property at. You saw that they listed at 925. You saw that they listed at 900, and then you saw that they listed at 875. Here's the feeling that I'm getting, Roji. The feeling that I'm getting is that you wouldn't feel comfortable with yourself unless you tested out the market at the $900,000 price and then kind of tried it out to see if it worked or not. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Now, here's my other feeling on it that I'm getting. My other feeling that I'm getting on this is that if you listed at 850, I'm imagining that you think like, hey, look, if I start at 850, people are always going to come in lower than that price. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, they're trying to lowball me, right? Isn't that what most buyers try to do these days?
Well, here's what I would say to that, or let me ask it this way. Let me ask you this. If somebody came in at the 850 and it was cash, would you totally reject the offer, or how would you respond back to that offer?
If it was cash and 850, I would have
Yeah.
tried to at least have them come up a little more.
And
See
how would
they
you counter
react.
them back? And how would
How
you
would I
counter them
count-
back?
if that was the only offer, or are we talking like more than one offer at that point?
Well, let's say that it was an all cash offer and that was the only offer that you had at the present moment.
If we're fresh in the market, I'll probably counter back. If we're already a couple weeks in and that's the only offer, I'll take it at 850 cash.
You would consider it. Okay. And then let me ask you this. In terms of timing, what's an ideal time frame for you to be under contract?
Well, I think I mentioned I want to be there by Thanksgiving, ideally.
Thanks. Okay, so if we look at the calendar here, if our goal is to be there by Thanksgiving and it's a 30-day escrow, that means we got to be under contract by October. If it's a 30-day escrow, October 24th. If it's a 45-day escrow, you're probably looking at October 15th. So if I'm hearing you correctly, in other words, we have about like 30 days to have your property under contract. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, yeah.
Okay. And then if you tested it out at the 900,000, how long would you want to test it out at that price for, to see if it worked or not?
Not too long, probably like we'll see at an open house, a weekend of open house, and see what happens.
Got it. And let me ask you this. Would you feel more comfortable? And this is all about you. Obviously, like, we know what the comp sold for. We know what your neighbor tested it out for. This is where the comfort level comes down to. Would you feel more comfortable starting off at the 900,000? Would you feel more comfortable starting off at the 850? Or would you ever consider starting off even somewhere in between the 900 and the 850,000?
I mean, to tell you the truth, I feel comfortable like in the middle because I know 850. I know what worked at 850. And I told you mine's a little bit better.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Between.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you would feel more comfortable at the 875 at putting it on the market at the 875,000, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Correct.
Okay. Now, are you comfortable with that? Because I notice a little bit of a hesitation even when I say, hey, starting off at the 875.
Yeah, I want more, but I get where you're coming from. I don't want to, start too high and then reduce the price. I don't want to make it look stale.
Got it. And you would be okay with the 875 if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah, like if I get an 875 offer off the bat and good terms, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So here's what I would propose. I'm okay with the 875 of putting the property on the market at the 875 if you're okay with that. So I'm going to write this down at 875. Here's the only other question I had for you. Okay. In terms of timing, what is an ideal time frame for us to come on the open market?
Today is what? Wednesday?
Yeah.
I mean, I just need to do a little bit more cleaning and packing. I would say like sometime next week might work better.
Okay.
Are you talking like listing it today?
No. So here's the way that it would work on our end. On our end, from the time we take pictures, we need 3 days to have it on the open market. So like, let's say that you wanted pictures to be taken tomorrow. Tomorrow would be Thursday. The earliest we could have it on the market would be Saturday. So if your goal and objective is to have it on the market by next week, let me ask you this. Is there a certain day next week that would work out for you?
I mean, really any day next week is fine. I just want to spend the weekend and clean up if that's even possible.
Okay. So if we have the pictures taken either on Sunday or Monday, our target date to actually come on the market would be sometime on Wednesday or Thursday of next week, which that would put us for either the 23rd or the 24th of next week. Would that work for you?
Yeah, that should work.
Okay, great. So we're actually in agreement on the price. So I'm in agreement with you that we're going to come on the market at the 875. We're going to see how the marketplace responds at that price. We're in agreement of when we're going to come on the market as well, too. So we're in agreement that we're going to be coming on the market on the 24th. Mm-hmm. Now, in order for me to start coordinating the photographer, in order for me to start helping you with the free boxes, in order for me to have that gentleman come by and help you over the weekend to help get the property ready for sale, it does require that we take care of some paperwork. That paperwork basically allows us to start working together and allows me to start helping you get the property ready for sale. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
If it's okay with you, I'm going to fill out this paperwork. I'm going to explain it to you. And then once again, this is going to allow us to start working together. Is that okay?
Can we have at least a night to think about it? Just let us soak in.
Yeah, of course. You could have as many nights as you want to obviously think about it. Here's what we can do as well, too, if you're okay with that. So what we can do is basically here's another option. So an option is that I can write a clause in there in the agreement that you have 24 hours to think about it. And if at any point you change your mind during that 24 hours, it basically allows you to cancel the agreement. What this does is it basically just allows me to start coordinating everything with you. And it allows me to start coordinating the photographer, allows me to start coordinating the person that's going to come by and start helping with the boxes. Would you be okay with that?
So we're signing something with a cancellation.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving me an opportunity to cancel it if I need to.
Yeah. So the way that it would work is I'm going to write this in there. I'm going to give you the right to basically cancel this agreement within 24 hours if for whatever reason something changes. What this is going to allow me to do is going to start allowing me to help you coordinate everything and start allowing me to prepare everything to have everything on the market for next week. And then if for whatever reason something changes where you change your mind, just give me a call and I'll rip up the paperwork. It wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel much comfortable with that.
Okay. Yeah, and that's not a problem whatsoever. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
So I think when I asked you a second time, are you okay with that? I shouldn't have done that. Like it just would have been a close basically. Like I should have just basically great. I'm gonna explain the paperwork for you, and this is gonna allow me to get everything ready on the market. Do you have any other questions for me? No. Great. Okay. Let me start explaining the paperwork basically. That second time made you hesitate basically.
No,
I didn't think Jose made mistakes.
Say it again.
I didn't think Jose made mistakes.
No, I did. Yeah, I did make a mistake. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
What would you say? So you're going over price. We came with the price. You came with the date. Would you go over commission, or would you just wait until they bring it up when they're signing?
Well, I think that's situational. So what I tell people as it relates to that is it depends if they brought it up on the prequel, and then it depends if you feel that they're the type of personality they're going to bring it up. So the way that it happens usually is I'll be like, great, like, do you have any other questions for me? And they'll be like, no, I don't. And then I just proceed with the signing of the documents, and I basically assume my standard fee or my preferred fee. At that point, when you ask that, they're either going to say, well, we haven't talked about the commission. And then at that point, you could just be like, oh, you're right. Oh my God, I'm so sorry about that. Like we actually haven't covered one of the most important pieces of the presentation. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, let's talk about the commission. Basically. So it's almost like it's a mistake basically that you overlooked it. And then at that point you just address it. Or the other way of handling it, if you know 100% it's going to come up because of the personality, if they've been kind of saying it over and over, you could say, hey, look, we're in agreement on the price. We're in agreement of when we're going to come on the marketplace. The only other thing that we haven't talked about, and I think that this is important, is the professional fee. And then they'll be like, okay, yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, what were you thinking? Well, I was hoping this. And then you're like, well, would you consider this? Or would you consider this structure? Great. We're in agreement on the price. We're in agreement on the commission. And we're in agreement on when we're going to come on the marketplace. Do you have any other questions before we go ahead and take care of the paperwork? Or great, Rosie, we're in agreement on the price, we're in agreement on the commission, and we're in agreement of when we're going to come on the marketplace. Now, in order for me to start helping you with this, it requires that we take care of some paperwork. This paperwork basically allows me to start helping you with this, and this. Are you okay with that? A lot of times what we're offering a bunch of different things. And a lot of times what they do is they want you to start offering things without signing the document. So the way that we phrase it is like, well, look, in order for you to receive all this and this and this, it does require that we take care of some paperwork. This paperwork basically allows us to be able to start working together. But most importantly, it allows us to start helping you with this, and this. But it also allows us to start helping you with, it also makes sure that we're able to have your property on the market by next Wednesday. Now, here's another thing. Like let's say I'm offering professional staging on the property, right? So what I would say is my timeline would change. So let's say that they want the boxes, they need help boxing up the items this weekend. That's what I would use as my leverage, basically. So if they need help boxing up, well, look, in order for me to be able to coordinate my guys and in order for me to be able to make sure that they're here on Saturday, it does require that I start coordinating them immediately. And it does require that we take care of some paperwork. This paperwork basically allows me to start coordinating the guys that are going to come over this weekend to be able to help you clean up the house and basically start boxing the items. But most importantly, what it does is it allows us to make sure that we are able to have your home on the market by Wednesday. Are you okay with that?
Mm.
And they're like, yes, I'm okay with that. Great. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to fill out the paperwork. I'm going to explain it to you. And then once again, this is going to allows us to get started with X, Y, and Z.